Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm now an Airbus pilot, and in this video, which is the first in a series of videos to come, I want to share my experience of the Airbus type rating with you. So, in this one we're going to deal with the approach to training and with manual flight, and this one is actually a little bit less of an Airbus versus Boeing, but more of different training philosophies. So in my previous airline, on the 737 type rating, they basically showed us how the airplane wanted to be flown by showing us how the autopilot flies it. And like that we learned exactly what kind of inputs it wanted and what the results of those would be. Now, since in my new airline we were required to have at least 1,000 hours so that we could even apply for the job, they assumed that we basically knew already how an airliner wants to be flown. And for that reason we started the approach to training a whole lot different. And while on the 737 we basically learned how to fly the autopilot, and then the autopilot taught us how to fly the airplane, on the Airbus type rating it was exactly the other way around. So on the Airbus type rating we basically started our first couple of sessions without any flight director stuff, but simply by raw data flying and by doing visual approaches. And indeed, the visual approach is something, I believe in my 737 type rating we did exactly one of them, while in my Airbus type rating we did countless visual approaches. And that's probably the biggest difference there. In the Airbus type rating they really taught us how to fly the airplane by hand, while in the Boeing type rating they taught us how the autopilot flies the airplane, and thus we should figure how we should fly the airplane out of that. So, a huge difference there, and I would say that the most flown approach in my entire Airbus type rating is the visual approach, which indeed we do quite often on the line, by the way, as well. So that was my very first impression from getting closer to the line training and from doing my observation flights, is that we really try to do visual approaches whenever we can. And that is quite a lot of fun on the A330, I can tell you. In any case, let's go ahead and fly a visual approach right here, right now. We are currently on approach to Rijeka Airport in the north of Croatia, and this is an enhanced airport from the latest World Update 13, 14, whatever it is, I kinda lost track of it. So, let me give you a couple of basics of the visual approach in the Airbus. So, we try to go downwind with about 2.5 miles from the field. So, you can see I've loaded an approach up in the magic box, and we've got our offset indicator down here, which is at 2.6 right now, so that's just about perfect. We always got that little ring down here on the navigation display as well, by the way, to help us turn downwind. So, that way you can enter your downwind quite precisely. We started at 1,500 feet above the field elevation, and from those 1,500 feet we need about 45 seconds on the downwind until we can turn final. So you can see, even though it is a visual approach, which obviously you can fly completely with reference just to the outside and your clock, even though it is a visual approach, we still take things a little bit more serious in the airline business than when flying at Cessna 150. Alright, so we aim to beam the threshold 1500 AGL, and we are going to go flaps 1 now, as we are meant to be at the flap 1 speed. But you can see this looks quite good out here. So from here, we start in flaps 1, and then 10 seconds prior to making our base turn we're going to go flap 2, and eventually in the turn gear down flaps 3, flaps full, and establish ourselves on the approach. So, approaching the downwind, and approaching our level of altitude. Now it's all about looking outside. So reaching 1700, let's set the target pitch, and we are abeam. Timing. So it's going to be 45 seconds that we fly this, and we'll try to maintain our 1700 a little bit more accurately. Now in the real plane we would have our FO set the runway track for us. In the sim over here we need to do it ourselves, unfortunately, so something around 320 or so should be runway track, because that helps you with the track indication on the primary flight display. Okay, down there is our runway. So we've got 35 seconds, flaps 2. start slowing the airplane down, and then we are going to turn final in a moment. Now this immense rate of climb here is quite a bit exaggerated. Normally the Airbus corrects for flap extension quite well. Okay, let's turn base. So, gear down. Flaps 3. Not that easy doing all that stuff yourself while flying at the same time.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
No, absolutely not. Okay, let's start our first descent. And if the GPWS doesn't work, we're gonna turn it off. Thank you. Okay, down there is our runway. Now it's time to look out for the puppy. Try to actually spot something. That's quite a bit easier in real life usually than it is in simulator over here. Okay, flaps full. So, can we see something? Not all that easy. Yeah, spotting the puppy is quite a bit easier in real life, but we can cheat a little bit. I did enter an approach and sequence the flight plan to the runway waypoint, so we got the VDEV brick up there. That is going to provide us with a little bit of help.
1000.
Checked. Okay, landing checklist. Eca memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Okay, and here we are, established on the final track. Flying those visuals really is a lot of fun. In the 737 operations, we basically didn't fly visuals, and if we did, we had to build them with the FMC and fly them in LNAV VNAV, while on here, we simply disconnect everything and fly them like this.
400.
In real life, by the way, we can choose if we want to use the auto thrust or not. In simulator, I like to use it because
300.
it just misses a bit of that feedback you get in real life. And thus,
200.
using the auto thrust in sim makes it a bit easier.
100.
Okay then.
50. 40. 30. 20. Restart. 5.
So, spoiler, reverse green decel. I don't know what it is. In the sim I find it a lot harder to keep an airplane on the center line than in real life. But well, I guess it's just one of those things that you just have in the sim. In any case, that is probably the biggest difference I've seen in the Airbus type rating compared to my Boeing type rating. Of course, it's less of a difference with the airplane than more of a difference with the training philosophy and the operating philosophy of the airline, but you can really see how it is a totally different approach as well. And I really liked the opposite. You have that fully automated Airbus, and then you have that Boeing, which people always say likes to be hand flown a lot more than the Airbuses. But in my opinion, it's exactly the opposite way around. Now that may strongly be influenced by the training, but I am going to do a separate video on that topic as well, so that you guys can get a little bit of an insight into the difference between the two aircraft. In any case, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I would like to thank you very much and hope to see you again on the next one. If you did enjoy it, then do leave a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithms as well. Comment to let me know what you think about it, and finally I'm very much looking forward to reading what you guys think. Finally, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you really love what I'm doing, why not consider becoming a channel member, giving you exclusive early access to new videos before they are released for everyone else. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.